Hey guys, and happy Tuesday. Week 2 of the NFL season is officially behind us. And as we look forward to Week 3, I'm here giving you my most notable defensive matchups, split out by position, for both season-long and DFS. Try to keep up. What is up, everyone, and welcome back to No Huddle Fantasy Sports. As always, thank you for tuning into this video. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button below. Give this video a like if it's helping you out, and comment below with your thoughts on upcoming Week 3 NFL action. We're here on this fine Tuesday talking about upcoming Week 3 defensive matchups split up by position, just like we do every week. I am covering this video a bit earlier than I do most weeks. I will be out of the country for the next week and a half, so there will be no recap video for DFS main slate this week, and there likely won't be this video and a DFS recap video for next week. But I will be getting out my normal DFS main slate videos both this week and the end of next week. But with that said, we always like to publish this video. We like to look in depth into defensive matchups, how things are shaping up. We're now going into Week 3, so we have a couple of weeks of data that we can kind of base our matchups on, but at every position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. We always like to focus on a couple of things. So this is good for both season long and DFS. We talk about it every week. If you're setting lineups in season long, if you're trying to decide between a couple of quarterbacks, use this video. In addition to that, if you're trying to look for value plays, where good matchups are in DFS, things like that, this video can also play into that. In these videos, we're looking at defensive points allowed by position. We update it weekly, so right now we're focused on the first 2 weeks of the 2019 season combined with what we have from 2018. If you're trying to find this data yourself, the tool I like to use is on RotoGrinders. I'll link it below. I talk about it every week. It's a great tool. It's simple. It's easy to use. You split it out by position. You can split it out by DraftKings, FanDuel. If you're doing season long, you can adjust accordingly. Whatever you need, that tool has it in terms of defenses and how they're performing and giving up points split out by position. And the final note here I wanted to mention, we are starting to see some trends. It obviously still is pretty early, but some defenses that from 2018 were really historically bad, such as Tampa Bay, have performed adequately so far this year, while others like Miami, where you're seeing just a fire sale of players being traded out of that team, they're just giving up buku points, whether it's passing or running, whatever it is, they're giving up a lot of points to position. So those trends are starting to form out, but again, it's still early. We're only a couple of weeks into the season. But we always like to start with the quarterback position. And if you look at the guys or the actual teams listed here, top 5 teams giving up points to quarterbacks, things really haven't changed week over week. We're talking about Cincinnati, Atlanta, Miami, New Orleans, and Oakland. All teams that are giving up buku points, whether it's on DraftKings, FanDuel, or even in season long, to the quarterback position. Obviously, all the quarterbacks listed here are in elite matchups going into Week 3, but a couple of the guys I'm really intrigued by: Josh Allen for Buffalo going up against Cincinnati. You're talking about 21 points given up by Cincinnati's defense to the quarterback position on both DraftKings and FanDuel. I also like Russell Wilson going up against New Orleans at home. Again, just a team that's given up buku amount of points both on DraftKings and FanDuel week over week, including if you date it back to 2018 to the quarterback position. So both those guys high on my list this week, but you can consider any of these guys. All these teams have proven and have a strong history right now of giving up a lot of points to the quarterback position. A number of running backs are also in elite spots this week. A lot of these teams, these defenses, are repeat offenders here, giving up points regardless of position. You have Cincinnati, again, the number 1 listed team in terms of points given up to the running back position, followed by Kansas City, Arizona, Miami, and Atlanta. Again, a number of these guys I like more than others. You're talking about Christian McCaffrey, an elite back, giving up or going up against Arizona. Arizona's given up 29 points on DraftKings, 26 points on FanDuel on average each week to the running back position. And then you have Ezekiel Elliott going up against Miami. This is going to be a nightmare game again for Miami, but you're talking about a heavy home favorite Cowboy team with an elite back. There's no reason he shouldn't exceed. He's a safe play this week, whether you're playing on DraftKings, FanDuel. If you're playing season long, you're starting him anyway. But again, Miami giving up 29 points on DraftKings, 26 points on FanDuel to the running back position, with Ezekiel Elliott in an elite spot. Finally, Atlanta, a team that every year seems to struggle versus the running back position, especially backs that can catch out of the backfield. Although that might not be the case here with Mack for Indianapolis, I do still like him. He's in a great spot. Atlanta giving up, like I said, over 29 points on DraftKings, 25 points on FanDuel. All these backs in elite spots here, consider them both in season long and DFS. You can also go a number of different ways this week if you're talking matchups at the wide receiver position. New York Jets, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Washington, and Tampa Bay all top our top 5 list of defenses giving up points to the wide receiver position. Really, the only thing I wanted to mention here, don't take matchups, don't be a slave to matchup data. I have a tendency to do that at times, and it can hurt you. And wide receivers this week is a great example. I don't particularly like all of these matchups. The one I'm most intrigued by is Philadelphia, known for really outside receivers. They have a good defense, but their cornerbacks are pretty weak at guarding wide receiver positions, especially on the outside. They're giving up almost 44 points on DraftKings and 35 points on FanDuel, but they're playing Detroit. Detroit's been okay so far passing the ball, whether that's Stafford or his receivers. I'm really intrigued by Golladay going up against Philadelphia. If I had to pick another one on this list, New Orleans, a team known to give up buku yards, both the wide receivers, quarterbacks, and points in general, if you're talking fantasy to that position. But they're giving up 43 points on DraftKings, 35 points on FanDuel. New Orleans defense is traveling to Seattle this weekend. I do like Russell Wilson a little bit. If you're talking about his receivers, the matchup here, Lockett, Metcalf are the two main guys you would want to target. But really outside of that, I mentioned not being a slave to the matchup data. These other teams, receiver groups, they have great matchups, but there's nothing that really jumps off the page for me. And finally here we have the tight end position. Talking about Kansas City, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Oakland, and Cincinnati. All defenses that really haven't been able to handle the tight end position for a couple of years now. What's interesting here is that there's not really an elite tight end per se that jumps off the page. A couple of these guys are on primetime slates, so you wouldn't be able to get them in main slate DFS. In addition to that, a couple of these guys are somewhat injured. So Higbee and Croft I have starred here. We don't know their status yet. I believe Croft hasn't played a game yet, so it's something you want to monitor. If I'm taking anybody from this grouping, though, in these matchups, it's Andrews. He's been great so far, 100 yards receiving both week 1 and week 2. Has a real good connection with Lamar Jackson. Should be a high-scoring game. And Kansas City just getting scorched both on DraftKings and FanDuel, or season-long in general, by the tight end position. I also, if you're looking for something a little more sneaky, Hooper for Atlanta, facing Indianapolis, a team, again, that can't really handle the tight end position too well. DraftKings giving up nearly 15 points, FanDuel over 11. So look for Atlanta's Hooper to be in a good spot this week. And that really wraps up our defensive matchups, notable matchups video for the week. Pretty short and sweet here. The data speaks for itself. A number of these guys, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, all are in great spots. But again, I think the trick here is to not be a slave to matchup data. I mentioned that I have a tendency to do that. Instead, use this video, use the RotoGrinders tool. Use them as tools, one piece of the pie. I like to start the week off with matchups. It kind of helps you narrow down who you like and who you don't like and who's in better spots than others. And so with that, thank you guys again for tuning in. I hope you guys find this useful. Leave me some comments below on anything I might have missed, any matchups, any trends you guys identified so far this season, and what your thoughts are on week 3 right now. It is a bit early. We have a number of injuries at the quarterback position that are going to affect a lot of things, including matchups. So keep that all in mind as you set your lineups and get ready for week 3. As always, thanks again. Please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and I'll catch you in the next video.